You're listening to the Ecosystem Approach show. I'm Jason.
And I'm Patricia. Tune in every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time and 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Transformation Talk Radio.
We discovered that human potential is severely limited when you program humans like a machine, which is standard practice today for self-improvement.
The ecosystem approach teaches you how to uncover your infinite potential by using natural methods that are truly revolutionary. Join us now for the Ecosystem Approach show. We're talking about the money game and how it really works. Today, we're going to shock you by clearing up some of the myths that we have grown up with and some that we just accept as fact. We use an ecosystem approach to you, which is much different than what you are commonly taught. We see human beings as ecosystems that need to be uncovered instead of programmed. Human potential becomes infinite with our ecosystem approach. Okay, Jason, what do you mean by the money game? Where did you come up with that one?
Well, it's based on a story. So let me tell you, it's basically the story of my life. And I've been learning this about the money game all during my life because it started out when I was a teenager.
Okay.
And I was fascinated by people, usually men, unfortunately, but men who had achieved greatness and how they did it.
Okay.
I was fascinated by it.
Wait a minute. Was greatness just greatness or men with money?
Well, it was both.
Okay. Just
like,
curious.
There was Abraham Lincoln.
Sure.
There was Thomas Edison.
Okay.
There was Henry Ford. There was Dale Carnegie, not Dale Carnegie, but Andrew Carnegie. And some of the big barons in the turn of the century.
Sure.
And I was fascinated by it.
I thought they were called carpetbaggers, but never mind. That's
political.
all another.
That was after
another show.
War,
okay.
Yeah. So I was reading about these people and how they became successful, and growing up, my dad complained, and this is my first understanding. He had a bachelor's degree in chemistry, and where he worked, most of the other people had PhDs.
Okay.
And he was saying, well, I know as much as they do, but they have a PhD, so they're going to be promoted and I'm not going to be promoted.
Okay.
So I got a flavor of that dissatisfaction, based on, it was sort of a game there, a credential game in this way, and
Sure.
then as I went to college, I graduated in business, and I understood that coming from I went to a state university versus a more prestigious Ivy League
name school. Yes.
And as I went out in the work world, I saw people that had a label. Well, he's from Harvard, he's from Yale, he's from these things, and
sure.
they kind of stuck with you, and they were part of what I started to see as the game. Because what I started to see,
well, that's interesting.
What I started to see is that people weren't being promoted based on their abilities, but it was
their true abilities.
There's true abilities.
If they had their credentials that basically said, without saying, but saying they had the abilities, but you could see that they didn't.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, wow.
And as I worked side by side with a lot of these people, and I compared the people that had the credentials and some that didn't.
Okay.
I started to see it. This doesn't make sense.
Sure.
And seeing people promoted,
right?
Not necessarily in that were where I was a part of it, but other people,
right?
And how they got promoted and how they didn't. I also started to see politics, and this was way before I considered myself an intuitive, but I always had a sense of other people's motives and feelings, and how they functioned. And I could see that the best among us was not being promoted up. And this was part of my I was starting to formulate this idea of the money game. And then as we've been doing this work for 20 years, there's so many people that have come to us
Right.
because there are people that have come to us who have money,
Yes.
who
Oh,
don't
yeah.
have money,
Yes.
who
Yes.
want more money,
Yes.
who wants money for a specific thing,
Sure.
all these things. And we start to see how the
Different
energy of it works.
and the different avenues of that money connected to those people,
Exactly.
meaning either that they had or they didn't have that
And
money.
how do they get it?
And how do they
And
get
how
it?
did they keep it? And were they I hate to say it this way, but in the traditional way, were they deserving of it?
Oh,
You
sure,
know,
sure.
and I'm not to say that anybody that has money is not deserving of it, but I'm looking at it from the whole picture. And if you're listening today,
Well,
you're probably really curious about this idea of the money game because it's affecting you, whether you don't have enough of it, you want
exactly.
more of it.
Well, and I was going to jump in and say, because those that do have money basically walk around saying, I've got money and you don't. I deserved it and you don't.
Well,
There's
yes,
an energy about it.
there is an energy about that.
Okay.
It's embedded in our culture
Yeah.
that if you have poverty, you've chosen that. And if you have riches, it's because you're better. And we know that's not true,
At
because
all.
when we look at the energy of people, and we see a lot of people who have great talent, ability, imagination,
Mhm.
potential,
Exactly.
that and have worked really hard, but they
Mhm.
don't have their level of success is not commensurate. And
Exactly.
so that's when I started to kind of craft this idea of the money game. And
Oh, yeah. Hence the question. Okay.
yes. So here's the one of the biggest myths
Okay.
um, that I saw was that, and this has been repeated so many times, that we don't even question it. Of course,
Mhm.
I question it because that's what
Yeah.
that's kind of who I am. But this idea that if you work hard and persevere,
Yes.
you're going to be successful.
Yeah.
It's not true. No,
You want to say
it's
that a
not
little
true.
a little louder? Yes.
It's not true. And a lot of times we see that people who have um, and it still fascinates me, people that have been very, very successful. Why is that?
Okay.
And a lot of times, luck, which is an energy,
Yes, it is.
and timing, which is an energy,
Yes.
um, can be a big part of that.
Okay.
Um, is it the best and the brightest that are coming to the top? I I I struggle to see
A
that.
few, but
And there are
yeah.
some that I've been very impressed with
Okay.
that have risen to the top, but there are a lot of people who like, really,
Yeah.
really,
Yes.
and part of it is that most people, and this is so, listen closely, most people don't really understand why they're successful and why they're not. Now we see it
Okay.
in energetic terms.
Yes.
So I think we have a better understanding of why that is. But people who are unsuccessful buy into the myth that if you only work hard enough
Or
and
work harder.
yes. So if they're not being successful, they say, oh my gosh, I just need to work harder.
Yes.
I've done that in many times in my life. And if you're not successful, you think, well, there must be something wrong with
With
me.
me.
And people that have been
Yeah.
successful really don't know why they're successful, and they buy into the myth, because when someone asks them, well, what's the secret of your success, how many times have you heard that on TV? What's the secret of your success?
Exactly.
Microphone, what's the secret of your success?
Right.
And they say, well, hard work, and just
Right.
not giving up and keep going and going.
And I've also heard being in the right place at the right time.
Yes.
That's that timing thing you were
Yes.
talking about. Sure.
And sometimes that's false modesty.
Of course.
You
Of
know,
course.
I don't think people really know. And that's what we started to see. And that's what's so exciting in a way,
Yeah.
because we're going to uncover all these myths today on our show. And I hope you stay tuned. Here's the other thing. We work with energy and we understand attraction.
Yes.
And money does not always respond to energy attraction because of something really important. This is part of our show name, because it's been gamified. In other words, it's not like it's not like you're if we were out in the rainforest and you were wearing one of those sarongs types things, and
Yeah. The show, the show, the camera. Thank you very
but
much.
if we were in a very natural environment, we're just trying to get food and water and shelter, we
Uh-huh.
could use energy techniques and we could draw that to us.
Yes.
But what's happened in our culture, especially here in the United States, is that the money part of getting resources has been gamified, hence the
Mm,
money game, and they
mm.
no longer respond to energy techniques like you would expect.
Right.
So
Hmm.
stay tuned. This is going to be a really fascinating show.
Oh, are you ready for the key points?
Yes, let's
Here we
do
go.
that.
Jason, what are the key points of this segment?
The promise of working hard to get ahead is a myth. And when it happens, sometimes it's luck.
Mm,
Most people don't know why. Most people do not really know why they are successful and fall back on the traditional myths: hard
okay.
work,
Sure.
perseverance. Energy techniques don't work in a gamified money system, um, because the intention is blocked. And we're going to show you. We're going to
Oh,
talk about how you
now
can
that's a good one. Yes.
get through that. And
Okay.
the ecosystem approach teaches you to perceive the world based on objectivity, not based on wishful thinking.
That's going to be a hard one for me, everyone. In the next segment, we're going to talk about the money game and how it really works. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is this Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. I'll get the stuff out of my mouth and keep on talking the right way. In this segment, we're going to talk about the money game and how it really works. We use an ecosystem approach to you, which is much different than what you are commonly taught. We see human beings as ecosystems that need to be uncovered instead of programmed. Human potential becomes infinite with our ecosystem approach. Okay, Jason, what is the money game? The truth is, I really don't understand. And I'm sure there's a few of you out there that don't either.
Well, we didn't really explain it in the first segment.
Okay.
So imagine playing Monopoly like your life depended on it.
Hmm.
I think about Hunger Games. We haven't even watched that series. We need to do that sometime.
Okay.
But where it's cutthroat, and it's fight to win at all costs.
Fight to the death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I see that in business. I see that, it's not personal, it's business.
Yeah. Oh,
You've got mail. That he was
that's
using.
yes,
That was
yes.
that was the famous line. Hey,
Yes.
it's not personal, it's just business. Well, that means you can tear, you can do anything you want to get ahead. Now, you can bully, you can do intimidation, you can play mind games, dirty tricks. You can gamble, take crazy risks, and be rewarded, and cheat.
Mm-hmm.
That happens a lot. Cheat.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, as intuitives, we see people's true character and motives, and we look at the captains of industry, banking, and finance, and they're not the best among us.
Yeah.
You know, um, um, but they're really good game players.
Yes.
They're really good.
And they always appear, I don't know if it's true, but they appear to know every piece of quote that game.
And I should say, we've met some people who are captains of industry that very impressive,
True.
that we have great respect for, and they really are impressive.
That's true.
So we're not saying all, we're not being black and white, but we're saying more a disproportionate number.
There you go.
In a way
Well
that
said.
that just proves my thesis that we live in a money game.
Mhm.
It's not based on really natural give and take in terms of energy. So some people, and this is based a lot of times on your Enneagram type, there's certain types that play the game better than others.
Oh yeah.
Some because of training.
Yes.
A lot of times because of dysfunction.
And the rules in which they grew up in.
Those rules can be cutthroat.
Oh.
And if they grow up in that and then they take it out in the world and play the money game with it,
Yeah.
they can be very successful.
Yes, they can.
It doesn't necessarily mean that they're the best among us that have risen to the top.
Right.
And what we've seen is that playing the money game hard does not lead to a great life. Now,
Mm.
we've heard that. I mean, you just have to turn on the Hallmark channel. My mom's watching the Hallmark channel right
Right
now,
now.
and
And thank you, Hallmark.
money can't buy happiness. We've heard all that stuff.
Yes, of
And some of
course.
us say, well, yeah, maybe not, but I'd like to make it
But
a little
yeah,
easier. It would certainly
exactly.
make it a little easier. But a lot of people have come to us and they haven't used the same words. They haven't used the word money game,
Yeah,
but they said, I don't want any part of the money game.
yeah.
And they think they can just step out of the money game and not play.
Well, that's an illusion in itself. That goes to the extreme of the other side,
It does.
because we don't survive and can't survive in this world without some sort of either barter or money in order to survive.
Well, we watch these off the grid shows all the time.
Shh, don't tell your secret.
But so these guys go out
In the wilderness,
in the wilderness, and they basically produce their own power, their own
right? They
water.
start from scratch, so to
You
speak.
know, and they eat off the land, that sort of thing,
Right.
and they struggle.
Oh yeah.
But for the most part, that's not gamified. That's a more natural existence. But I'm not suggesting, when we watch, we both look at each other and say, I don't want to live that way.
I not only don't want to live that way, I also know that having to survive out in a place like that, yeah, you might not have the quote money game, but you still have to connect with people and society not that often,
Right.
that lives around you. They're in the money game. And if you don't understand, you don't do very well when you need supplies.
Exactly. Well, and part of the ecosystem approach, if you're listening right now, we designed it so that we can live in the world the way it is.
Exactly.
And
you know what? That's a huge, huge point. Please.
it's there's so many people that are offering a so-called a better way, but they want you to step out of the way life really is into and to
step out
reject.
of your life the way that it is.
Yes, and we don't suggest that at all, because
No.
we start from the inside. We
Right.
start from the changing on
In
the
other
inside.
words, no matter where you go, you can change from the inside.
Well, exactly, because most people say, well, if I don't like the world the way it is, I'll just go someplace where it's not that
Right.
way.
Yeah.
And the geographic change doesn't really make the difference.
It's called a geographical. It actually doesn't work, because sooner or later it bites you.
Yes.
In the backside.
So here's the other thing that we talked about myth already, about the
Yes.
working hard, but here's the other one, which is the law of attraction. Now, if you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio Network in the first place, you've probably heard of the law of attraction, which is,
well, sure,
what you think about, you attract.
But I have a question about it.
Yes.
And so the question is one, what is the law of attraction, and can you use that instead of the money game?
A lot of people have come to us and said that. First of all, law of attraction has a huge misconception right in the center of it.
Yes.
Which is, people think it's based on what you think, but really it's based on your authentic feelings.
Oh.
So if you're attracting money, if you're attracting love, if you're attracting good health,
yes,
and you force yourself to think about those things, or repeat over and over and over that you're going to be wealthy,
the affirmation thing,
thing, it doesn't work, because it's not your authentic feelings. And the ecosystem approach is about uncovering what your authentic feelings are,
right,
and then clearing away if they're negative,
right,
so that you can attract what you really are feeling.
Okay.
Now, if you look around at your life right now, whether it's about money or any other sector,
money, relationships,
love,
health, food, health, all of it, yes,
and see what's there, that's probably pretty close to what you're attracting.
Yes.
With of course understanding that money system is gamified, so it's not purely. So if you want resources and you don't have them, it may not because you're not attracting them. It's maybe because the money system is gamified and you're not playing the game.
And I was going to say, and you don't know how to play.
Yes.
Yes.
So remember, the law of attraction is based on authentic feelings. You can't force yourself. You can't make yourself, or repeat over and over and over again, or put up pictures that that say I want to be like this
Right.
because you feel like you're conditioning your mind.
Right.
No, the way you do it is you see how you authentically feel and clear those things away. And we're going to teach you how to do that
Today.
today.
Okay. So you have a story.
Yes, I had a client who was doing both. Okay, he had he had an internet business, and people would just find him on the internet
Okay.
and order his product.
Okay.
He had competition, but he was able to pricing and everything else was pretty competitive.
Okay.
And he would come to me and said, "Well, sales have slowed down." Now, this guy had a particular enneagram type that tended toward depression.
Yes.
So we would clear away his depression and his hopelessness,
Right.
and sales would pick up.
Right.
Now, that sounds like a good example of the law of attraction, which it is, except for one thing. The way he was structured, and I talked to him about this many
More than
times,
once. Yes.
and it just kind of flew
Over his head.
And in other words, I don't know if it's over his head, but he was denying it. He didn't want to deal with it.
Okay.
But if that company changed its, he was working with one company that did drop shipping. If they changed their the rules, how they did business, their business model,
Sure.
he'd be out of business.
Well, and there's a lot of people in this world today that have had to change so much because of the situation. But
especially with Facebook, Google,
exactly,
YouTube.
Exactly.
You know, a lot of people made huge amounts of money, and then that company changed. Amazon changed their
format,
Airbnb, you know, that sort of thing. They've changed and how they get the money. So
right.
So he was able to carve out a certain spot that was using the law of attraction, but he was, you know, I haven't heard lately, but you know, it could have completely ruined his business.
Maybe.
So here's what I want to say to you. You know, if this is touching you right now, if there's something inside of you that says, "Oh my gosh, you know, I need to know more about the money game. I want to play the money game. I want to play the law of attraction. I want more resources." The ecosystem approach is the way to do it.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about that in the next segment, and then we'll show you how to do some clearing for it.
Okay. Well, Jason, what are the key points of this segment?
A game rarely rewards the best, brightest, and the most evolved among us. The big challenge is black and white thinking, where you say, I'm going to play the game or I'm not.
Right.
The law of attraction only works based on authentic feelings. You can't fake it or force it. And the ecosystem approach teaches you to see the playing field as it is without illusions.
Like that.
So you can play the game use the law of attraction.
So in the next segment, we're going to talk about how to apply the money game for you and your life. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about how to apply the money game for you and your life. We use an ecosystem approach to you, which is much different than what you are commonly taught. We see human beings as ecosystems that need to be uncovered instead of programmed. Human potential becomes infinite with our ecosystem approach. All right, Jason, what we've been talking about in the past two segments, you know, it kind of sounds kind of hopeless and difficult. And, you know, I'm kind of thinking, well, why even bother? You know, that kind of thing. You know, it doesn't make the money game attractive. Let me say it that way. And the law of attraction is like sabotaged by the money game. I mean, what is this all about?
So this is one of the reasons we created the ecosystem approach, because in order to play the money game, you have to have skills that if they don't come naturally to you, and if they do come naturally to you, there's probably you probably need a therapist. Okay. And that makes it sound bad, but it's kind of true. You know, this people that are super competitive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That do well in the money game, but you can't have a relationship with a person that's super competitive. It's very, very difficult.
Very much.
You know, I think one of the reasons that we do so well together is because we don't compete with each other.
No,
you know,
we don't.
And it's
actually we do. Who can laugh the loudest or the you know, that kind of thing. But other than that, no.
Well, and so anyways, but if you use the ecosystem approach, and you start to build up these talents and abilities that are natural to you,
Mhm.
not unnatural abilities, but
Right.
abilities that are natural to you personally, and then use those abilities to play the money game. It'll really help you. One of the things that most people don't understand is when you start uncovering yourself,
Yes.
one of the things you learn is how you lie to yourself.
Yeah. Oh, it's a big one.
It's not an easy thing, and it doesn't sound very attractive. I apologize, but we all see how we lie to ourselves. But then what happens is we see how we lie to ourselves.
Then we start to see how everyone else lies to themselves.
So, or is lying to us about
Yes.
how they are in the world.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
the biggest problem with the money game is that people, you can't, you have to be able to see people's motives.
Ah. Oh, yeah.
And when you can see their motives, you can play it so much better, and you
Sure.
do that by applying the ecosystem approach. You can also gain knowledge better. You can learn more things when you use the ecosystem approach, because that negative energy is what creates a barrier between you and learning, or
Mhm.
evolving,
Right.
or assimilating skills that you need to do.
Right.
So and create more authentic relationships. So here's the thing, okay? When you have these abilities, you can choose when to apply the money game
Mm.
and when to apply the law of attraction, or a more ethical, human, authentic basis for relationship.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to give you some examples of how to do that. But here's the thing that I want to talk about too: the age of Aquarius.
Okay.
Now, I go off on this tangent all the time. I'm really excited about the age of Aquarius. It's for, if you haven't heard before, it's an astrological age, an
Yes.
energy age that we're in right now.
And we have seen some pretty amazing things and not always good stuff.
We're seeing the effects of it
The
right now.
effects of it, it's because the changes, they are happening right in front of us.
And the age of Aquarius, the promise of it, it's an energy. It's
Yes.
not guaranteed, but the promise of it is that it will create a more equitable distribution of money and wealth,
Oh,
and power,
right.
be more democratic,
Right.
empowerment for the individual. And that's what the ecosystem approach is all about too. And that's why they fit together so perfectly.
Right.
And the money game, which has a few winners, but a lot of losers,
Yeah.
it's gonna balance that out. But if you want to be part of that, if you want to be part of that change, the ecosystem approach is the way to do it.
Mm.
We've had so many people who've come to us that don't want anything to do with the money game. I don't want to do that. I don't want to.
Right.
I can't. I don't want to play. It's not me. Blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah.
Mm-hmm.
And what we say is that, we said this in the beginning, that if you're a black and white thinker, you shouldn't listen to this show.
Right.
You know, we see that you can play the money game, you can learn to play the money game, and you can also use the law of attraction if you can distinguish when to do which.
Okay.
Now, I came up with some examples. For example,
Okay.
if you have a business,
Mm-hmm.
you have customers, you have vendors, you have employees,
Right.
you have all these constituencies that you work with. If you can see who's who, you maybe develop a relationship with a vendor where it's based on just an authentic relationship. Maybe you like each other, maybe
Right.
you help each other out, maybe you do things. And then you might have another vendor over here who is completely immersed in the money game, and you could never trust them,
Right.
and you might even have to sue them, so you have to have everything in writing, blah blah blah. So you there's no quick way of figuring out which is which.
Right.
The ecosystem approach, which develops your intuition, your ability to see yourself and then see other people's motives, helps you learn those things.
Yeah.
So, and that's how you need for creatives. I wanted to have a little special. I wanted to talk about creatives,
Oh,
musicians, artists,
okay.
people that use their art and try and make money, as
Right.
from their artistic pursuits. So many have come to us
Yes, that's
wanting
true.
more money,
It's true.
needing more money, needing funders,
Right.
people to support them,
Mm-hmm.
that
That
sort of
kind of
thing.
thing.
And they are very much into this law of attraction, but they don't understand the money game.
Yes.
And truly, if you really want to make money with your art, now you can say, I'm just going to go live someplace do a few things and sell a few things, and that's going to be enough for me. Well, that's okay. But if you want to make a lot of money with your art, you have to understand the money game.
Yeah.
And we see that artists, and whether visual artists or musicians
Well,
who have done really well,
yes.
they know how to play the
Yes,
money
they do.
game, and
Yes, they do.
they sometimes they fall into it, but then they learn real quick.
Yeah.
But it's important to know both the law of attraction and then the money game,
Yes.
especially if you're a musician, to be successful. Now, if you're a company employee, and I've been both an entrepreneur and a company employee, so I get this. Um, you need to know the people around you, because politics in most companies, whether it's a medium-sized, small company, whatever, you maybe you can see that you're doing really well and you're producing really well, but the owner's son is always going to get first crack at
Whatever
whatever
it is.
promotion.
Yes, exactly.
So you have to accept that,
Right.
and the ecosystem approach helps you accept the way it really is, as opposed to the way you want it to be.
Right.
So
Right.
so that just gives you an idea. You have to see who's around you to
Yes.
play the game, and you have to see who's around you to do the law of attraction.
Well, and here's something else. When you use the ecosystem approach and you learn about you, then you can learn how to deal with
Yes.
this, that, or the other, or this person, that, or the other person.
Most people don't know how to deal with themselves.
No, exactly.
So how are you going to, and
well,
what they end up doing is these things that you learn on these quick fix
right.
these seminars, where this is how you do, listening. This is
right.
how you listen to someone. Well,
right. Yeah.
You can act the technique, which is just phony. And it sounds phony to the other person, and not really hear what the other person saying.
I just remembered a small story that when we worked at the college the art college in San Francisco, there was a person that came in halfway through the time that I was there, and when she walked through the door, the other purchasing agent quit. And when she walked through the door, she gave me this line that was 20 feet long, and I believed her, and that she was going to do
she
this.
She created an illusion about herself.
Oh, it was
which was her playing the money game.
It was her playing. That's exactly what she was doing. And what I didn't realize until it was too late, that she was playing the money game, and she was stepping on my neck the entire time.
Right.
And I didn't realize it because I wanted to believe what I thought was the best.
You wanted to be authentic and have a real relationship.
I did.
With someone that
and I really learned from that. And thank you for that. But I never want to do that again.
Yes.
That was I'm sorry. That was my little story there. So, anything else you got?
We got to teach people how to clear. So.
Oh, I forgot about that part. Okay. I know how to do it. So it was one of those things. So Jason, let's do the key points and then teach people how to clear.
When you uncover yourself, you'll have the abilities to play the money game. The age of Aquarius creates the opportunity to change the way money is used in the world. The answer to play the money game and use the law of attraction is by uncovering yourself using your authentic feelings. And the ecosystem approach teaches you and uncovers your abilities to play and use the law of attraction from your authentic self.
Exactly. Okay, Jason, teach people how to do the clearing for those who don't know, and maybe a little reminder for those who
and we're going
have
to do
listened
clearing
before.
in the next segment.
Yes, we are.
So get ready. So here we go. So what we do is you can sit, stand, walk, lay down. Your posture is not really important, but in your mind's eye, when we say to eliminate, just gather that up. Whether it's an emotion, barriers, veils, and illusions, gather that up and blow it into the processor. I know Olivia's going to show you the picture of the processor.
Right, exactly.
And just blow it into there. That processor is something that we created that processes negative energy, goes in the top and comes out the front, and it's neutral.
It's neutral, which is
you can
amazing.
Make it bigger or smaller or whatever you want.
And if you think about it, doing the ecosystem approach, you're not only helping you, but you're also helping the environment of negative energy.
You're cleaning the negative energy.
It up.
So you take just a gentle breath when you do that, and you just do it over again.
Exactly,
That
exactly.
simple.
And then after we do that, we're going to activate life force. Life force energy is the most powerful energy that any of us has access to. And what we're going to do is we're going to call upon it. We're going to ask it to come in through the top of our head. We're going to let it go all the way down our body and also down our arms. Let it go all the way to the tips of our toes. We're going to stop it right there. We're going to ask it to turn around, and we're going to ask that very positive energy, life force energy, to help us remove more negative energy. And then, of course, we're going to put it in that processor. So, we ready to?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Stay tuned when we come back. We're going to do some clearing so you can play the money game and utilize the law of attraction. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. In this segment, we're going to do some clearing so you can play the money game and utilize the law of attraction. Actually, this sounds like a lot of fun to
Yeah.
me.
Here we
So,
go. Yes.
all right, here we go.
I direct all my resources in all dimensions to eliminate the barriers so I can see how I'm part of the money game or how the money game is playing out in my life right now. Take a
Take a
breath.
breath.
Gather up those veils and illusions, blow it into the processor.
Excellent, excellent. And to eliminate the barriers so I can see what I'm really attracting is based on my authentic feelings. And if I don't like those feelings, I can clear them.
Yes.
Take a breath. We need to do one more there.
Yeah.
And to eliminate the blocks that are keeping me stuck in black and white thinking, I can only have one or the other, when the truth is, everyone, you can have it all. Take a breath.
And to eliminate the anger, hate, rage, and bitterness that I have about playing the money game or having to play the money game
Oh,
or being
yeah.
forced to play the money game.
Yeah.
Take a breath, blow it into the processor.
And to eliminate any fear, hurt, shame, and pain that I carry about money or my finances that block me. Take a breath, everyone, right from the tips of your toes. Don't let that negative energy be stored in your body, and throw it into the processor or trash can, either one.
And to eliminate the barriers so I can see all the players in the money game in my life right now. Those who are playing the money game really hard, even though they may be saying, trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me, you can be my friend.
Yes.
I'm going to be your friend.
Right.
It'll be okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes those people are just playing the money game, and
Exactly.
it makes perfect sense to lie to you.
Yes. Take a breath. And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see the effective ways to play the game that I'm comfortable with. That's a big one for everyone, Jason. Take a breath.
And to eliminate the fear, terror, and resentment that I have about being part of the money game. Maybe you're afraid because you can't play. You feel like and that's in your hopeless, and that you can't change it at all.
Well, it could be the other way around, that you have a lot of money, but there's no one that you've lost all your friends.
Yes.
That's how I saw that one.
Well, no one wants to be around
you. Or
you.
no one wants to be around you. By the way, the ecosystem approach is a great way to change that for yourself. Take a breath, everyone. And here's a big one. And to eliminate all the hurt and pain and depression I have because I'm not great at playing the money game or the law of attraction. Take a breath.
And to eliminate any anger that I have about my hard work that is not rewarded the way I feel it should be.
Yes. Take a breath.
Get rid of that anger because it's just blocking you. Take a breath.
And to eliminate the resistance I have to both play the money game and use the law of attraction. Take a breath.
And to eliminate the anxiety and worry I have trying to program myself for money which doesn't work. You
Yeah.
can't
Oh,
force yourself to have
yeah.
money or to do some sort of razzle dazzle and then I'll have money
Take a
kind of
breath,
thing.
everybody. And we kind of said this one a few minutes ago, and to eliminate any black and white thinking I have about whether to play the game or not. Take a breath. Black and white thinking keeps you totally compartmentalized and you miss so much in life. Take a breath.
Which is a great segue because we're going to talk about that next week. So,
Oh, I didn't even realize it. Okay.
okay. So, and to eliminate the clarity, so I can see that only by applying the ecosystem approach can we really be able to rate or see other people's performance and
Nice.
motives.
Exactly.
Take a breath.
And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see the law of attraction is based on authentic feelings. Take a breath. And if you don't like them, use the ecosystem approach. You can change them. So, Jason, should we activate life force?
Activate life force. So,
all right, here we go.
And to activate life force, so I can have hope to play the money game and use the law of attraction.
Take a breath, nice and easy, to the top of your head, all the way down. Remove negative energy. Pick it up, and now pick it up from the tips of your toes and toss it in that processor.
And your turn.
Go okay, and to activate life force so I can trust that I can clear my way to the skills that I need to play the money game and the law of attraction. Take a breath.
And to activate life force so I can decide to play the money game and use the law of attraction.
Take a breath. And here's a big one. And to eliminate any fear I have that says, if I play the money game, something's bound to go wrong and I'm going to fail. I release and let go the energy of fear and the energy of failure. It doesn't serve me at all. Toss it in that processor, everybody. And I have one last one. And to activate life force so I can activate happiness and hope and clarity and love of myself, love of others. Let's see, great health and fun and laughter and joy and the ability to see what I can do and what I can't do and use the ecosystem approach to clear for what's in my best interest. Take a breath right now. Nice and easy. Blow out any negative energy left over. Jason, what are we going to talk about next week?
So we were talking about black and white thinking.
Yes, we were.
The greatest power that there is life force.
Yes.
And most people have this black and white view of the world.
Yes.
It says it either has to be this or it has to be that.
Okay.
But we're going to talk about this greatest, the most powerful energy in the world, which is life force,
okay,
and how you can apply it and utilize it so that nothing has to be black and white.
Yeah.
Now, I usually don't reference the graphic that we use
okay,
to describe our show.
yes.
But in this case, there's a graphic where there's a tree growing out of a
Oh,
center
yes.
of a rock face.
Yes.
And you have to wonder, well, how did there's one tree there, there's no soil, and this tree
is growing out the top of this rock.
And that's a perfect example of the ultimate power of life force.
Oh, that's a good one.
If you know that
Yeah.
what the ecosystem approach is all about is to help you create life force for yourself,
Yeah.
you have power to apply it. Now, I see so many people in so many areas, whether it's the money game,
okay,
or whether it's health, or whether you have to do this, so you have to do that.
Relationships.
Okay. You have to do this, you have to do that.
Sure.
But the truth is, if you have life force and you're coming from this natural place within that is very, very, very powerful,
yes,
you can do all these things in ways that are creative for you.
Yes.
Well,
and one of the greatest powers that I've seen, and especially using the ecosystem approach, has told me, because I've gotten rid of the black and white thinking. By the way, it does show up every now and then, and I recognize it, or somebody else recognizes it. But my point being that the greatest power that we have does come from within, and we don't even realize it. Most of us, because we've been programmed to not think that way.
And if you have that power, you can adapt to this world that seems very rigid.
Instantaneously,
Yes.
if necessary,
Yes.
excuse me.
And in ways that are very empowering for you.
Yeah.
You know, I think about people of color, women,
Yeah.
Different sexual orientations,
Correct.
where the world is not a welcoming place a lot of times, but with this life force, you can do so many things. So be sure
You can learn so many things.
be sure and tune in for this next
Right.
show.
Well,
next
and
show.
I just want to add, the ecosystem approach is the best way I have ever found to see all of those things that we just talked about and make it possible for myself.
Yes.
Okay.
There's no,
And I want that for everybody, everyone.
if there was a magic wand that
Yeah.
we could just sap you with,
Wouldn't it be great?
It could all be there. It's not that way. And
Yeah.
our programming culture says that's you just have to do this, just have to think this way or do this, and it doesn't work that way.
Well, you know, and
which is why the ecosystem approach, if you're touched by this today and you said, oh yeah, I want some of this,
right,
this is something for me. So here's how to take the next steps.
Okay.
Go to our website, theecosystemapproach.org, and sign up for our free section. You know, there's content there. You'll get the newsletter with the clearings every week.
Yeah.
So,
and do them no matter what situation you're in. Do those clearings, because clearing helps. Clearing here helps everything in your life. Meaning, if you're only doing one little part, but you need stuff over here, start wherever you can.
We've made it so simple for you.
Yes,
all we say
we
is just do the clearings.
Yeah.
Just listen to our show every week and do the clearings.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yes.
You know, and do them every week, and the more, and it's cumulative. So the more you do it, the more the better
right.
it is.
Well, what about the subscription service, Jason?
So you can sign up for that free section that I told you about, theecosystemapproach.org. Go to our Facebook page if you want to see us on video as opposed to audio.
Right. Okay.
And we're at theecosystemapproach.org on Facebook. You can find us there. And if you're there, please like us while you're there. I really appreciate those. Yeah, I appreciate that. And if you want to send us an email, you can do it at hello@theecosystemapproach.org.
And if you have suggestions for shows or comments about a show we've done, please, right there. That's the perfect place to do it.
Yep.
So we will connect next week, Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific and 4 p.m. Eastern Time. This is Transformation Talk Radio, and you're listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia.
Remember, your ecosystem is the most important one in the world.
Thank you for listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. I'm Patricia. Tune in every week as we discuss practical ways to apply the ecosystem approach and develop your potential to live your life on your terms. For more information, visit our website at theecosystemapproach.org.